For our final video in this introductory series, I'm going to take you through a few tips and wrinkles to help you to get the most out of the Data Analysis Toolkit. And I'm going to start with changing the format of the time axis. You may already know that Excel treats dates and numbers as exactly the same thing except in the way that they're shown to you. So if, for example, over here I type 12345, 12345, you'll see that those numbers get immediately converted into dates 1st to the 5th of January 1900 because these cells are in date format. All I'd have to do to see those individual digits is to convert it to general format, and now we see the intended numbers. So if I, for example, wanted instead of dates to have week number in my date column, I'm going to go copy and then paste. Then that's all fine, but the wrinkle is that Excel won't automatically update the format of the time series plot and control charts on their time axis. So I'm seeing dates here. So the solution to that, just click the link to data entry, is to go to this box which takes care of all of those time series and control charts and change the format there. Now I can go to time series plot and the number format has been applied, and the same goes for the control charts as well. So that's how to tweak the format if you're not going to use dates on your time axis. Next, a quick look at recalculating graphs. You may not see this issue in practice, but I'd like to make sure that you're ready for it if you do. And I'm going to select the Pareto chart here, as this is the one where we see it most frequently. So I'm going to pick a Pareto chart for promotion type. And that's fairly straightforward. Excel creates the Pareto chart, but the issue is that it sometimes stops part way through the calculations, as there are a lot of calculations to do behind this. The toolkit detects that. It can see that there are NAs here, and it gives you a warning message. Please press Ctrl-Alt-Shift F9 to recalculate. So you're going to need 4 fingers for that. Ctrl-Alt-Shift, and now I click F9, and there's a little bit of a pause while Excel thinks about this, and it will force a complete recalculation throughout the worksheet, which then updates everything, and the Pareto chart is now fully up to date. You occasionally see the same thing with the stratified time series plot. Same warning message will appear. As you can see, it's gone now because the chart is up to date. Next, a comment and a confession. I'll go back to the data entry. I'm about to confess that I haven't really followed my own rules here. I would like to recommend that you keep each separate project in a separate copy of the toolkit. And in this case, I have mixed different things. This project to do with impurity content and one to do with weight and hardness, day and night shift. They can't all have the same dates. So it's best if you have a single set of information that all relates to the same date and time column. That's the design intent of the toolkit. And then there's plenty of space for all the different factors and variables that you're going to look at, and you can then keep your analysis separate for the different things that you're working on. So that's just a best practice. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, how to avoid accidentally locking the data entry cells. I'll go back to this production report that I used in an earlier video. If I right click and select Format Cells, it will show me on this last tab that the cell is locked. A locked cell is the default in any new Excel workbook. Doesn't really do anything to you unless you protect the sheet. And here in the Review tab, once you protect the sheet, then you won't be able to change any cells that are locked. So, taking a look at the toolkit, the way it's set up is that all the data entry cells, which are the white ones, are unlocked, and all the grey cells which you're not supposed to be typing data into are locked. So I can click in there and I can start to type and I'm going to get an error message. And that's to prevent accidental corruption of the sheet. So suppose I copy data from another worksheet. What's going to happen? Well, I'll delete what's in there at the moment, and then I'll go back to the production report and I'll copy that in without doing paste special values. And it will normally be fine. So I change this number from 217 to 200, and Excel typically, not 100%, but typically copies across without the locked property. Though I still think it's better to do paste special values so that you preserve the original look and feel of the toolkit. So after a couple of undos, we're back to an empty toolkit. Now I'll show you the problem that I want you to avoid. I'm going to go to a website that has some data on it. I'm going to copy this data. It's completely arbitrary which I've chosen because it's exactly the same effect wherever you go. And so I've got a little table that's just appearing here with some inflation rate data in it. Now, if I try to change one of those numbers, I get that error message. Why? Because whenever you copy from another different application, and that definitely means the web, but it could also mean a table in PowerPoint or Word, it tends to come across as a locked cell. And if you don't do something about it, then that will be locked and you will be unable to make that change, and you can't update the workbook. So of course I can undo at this point, but if you were to save it and not realize you'd made the mistake, then you would not be able to reverse that and you would have broken the workbook. So that's the reason why I recommend to paste values. Now it's going to look slightly different as I am pasting from a web page, but this one, match destination formatting, will work just fine. And there's the data in with the preservation of the original format, and now if I want to change one of those numbers, it's no problem. So this is the reason I strongly encourage you to get into the habit of paste values unless you specifically wanted to copy across some format, and absolutely any time that you're pasting from a different application other than Excel. So that's it for the tips and wrinkles. Best of luck, and I hope you enjoy using the toolkit. Please let me know what you think.